Okay, so in a world that's, constantly chasing the next big thing, faster speeds, AI everywhere, it feels a bit strange, doesn't it? To be talking about FireWire cameras. I mean, many people probably think of it as, well, old tech. But here's the thing. The global market for these cameras isn't just holding on, it's actually growing. So today we're doing a deep dive into this kind of unexpected corner of the tech world, our mission to basically cut through the noise, give you the key insights, the trends, forecasts, the surprising regional stuff that shows why this technology is still kicking and even expanding. Think of it as your quick guide to understanding a maybe niche but pretty vital part of industry and science today.
And that's spot on. FireWire, well, it really was foundational for a lot of demanding fields. When it first came out, it changed the game for things like machine vision. That's the automated inspection stuff you see in factories, broadcasting too, and critical scientific research, how they handled high-speed data.
Mm.
What's really interesting, though, isn't just its history, but why it's still around. It has these unique strengths,
Mhm.
things that make it basically irreplaceable in certain very specific industries that absolutely need real-time, super stable, high-speed data.
Right. So that leads us to the big question, how can this technology people often call legacy, how can it actually thrive? Our sources paint a pretty clear picture with the numbers. The market was worth about what, $1.09 billion back in 2021, and it's not shrinking. It's projected to hit around $1.33 billion by 2025 and then jump to nearly $1.97 billion by 2033. That works out to a compound annual growth rate, a CAGR of 5.08%. Which sounds pretty healthy, but why? I mean, you've got USB 3.0, Thunderbolt, GigE Vision,
Yeah.
faster options, right?
Well, yeah, faster in terms of raw throughput, maybe. But raw speed isn't everything, not in these critical applications anyway. This growth, it comes down to firewires, like core advantages, really low latency and rock-solid stability for real-time stuff. Think about it, for a medical scanner, maybe. Or a super precise robot arm on a production line. A tiny delay, even a microsecond, or one drop data frame that's not just annoying. It could mess up a diagnosis or cause a really expensive mistake in manufacturing. FireWire's architecture, its peer-to-peer setup, lets devices talk directly. It bypasses the computer's main processor, guarantees bandwidth. That's a kind of predictable, real-time data flow that, honestly, even some newer interfaces designed for more general use can sometimes struggle to match, especially when failure is just not an option. So, yeah, we still see strong demand in areas like defense precision, reliability are key there, medical imaging, industrial automation, and, this whole global push towards smart systems and complex research. These fields just can't afford data hiccups.
That makes a lot of sense. It's about the right kind of performance, not just the fastest on paper. Okay, so it's not just holding on, it's vital in specific areas. But let's look at where this is happening, the geography. This is where it gets really interesting, right? Which parts of the world are actually driving this growth?
Right. So North America is definitely a major player, huge chunk of the market. It was over $434.6 million back in 2021, and it's heading upwards, expected to cross $758 million by 2033.
Wow. And I assume the US is a big part of that, projected over $568 million itself. What's fueling that specifically?
Uh-huh. A lot of that is the sheer scale of industrial automation in the U.S. Defense imaging is big too, and obviously a very active scientific research community. But Canada and Mexico are also contributing steadily. They've got TGRs around 5.89% and 4.94%. And that seems largely helped by, government investment in tech infrastructure in those countries.
Okay, so North America is strong and steady. What about across the Atlantic? Europe seems to have its own solid story here, too, growing from about $315 million in 2021 to maybe $555 million by 2033.
Exactly. And the traditional powerhouses like Germany, France, the UK, they're key contributors. They have the advanced manufacturing, the big research institutions. But what's really fascinating is this rest of Europe segment. Think Eastern Europe, the Nordic countries.
Mm.
They're actually growing even faster. That's
Yep.
6.22% CAGR. That really signals, rising tech adoption. New industrial hubs popping up that need this kind of reliable imaging.
Interesting. So established players plus faster growth in emerging European zones. Okay, let's shift over to Asia Pacific. The numbers there look even more dynamic. Market revenue possibly doubling from around $206 million to $400 million between 2021 and 2033.
Yeah, that region is surging. And it's largely driven by China and India. Just think about the scale of industrial digitization happening there. Electronics manufacturing, machine vision systems is massive, and they need incredibly stable, precise vision systems for that. India actually has the highest regional CGR. but 6.66%. It's really noteworthy. And you also see strong use in places like Southeast Asia, Singapore, Taiwan, particularly for things like high-precision electronics inspection. And again, demanding scientific imaging.
Right. The scale there is just immense. Now, turning south, what about South America? Looks like steady growth there, too, projected to hit nearly $149 million by 2033, up from $75 million in 2021.
Steady is the word. Brazil and Argentina are the biggest markets there. Argentina is actually leading the growth pace, interestingly, at about 6.54% CAGR, and a lot of that seems tied to demand in security systems and industrial quality control.
Okay. And the Middle East. How does that region fit in?
The Middle East is more moderate, but stable expansion, expected to reach around $67 million by 2033. The UAE is kind of the standout performer there. They're hitting a 4.85% CAGR. And that seems pretty consistently supported by government pushes for smart city projects, more sophisticated surveillance systems, things that need robust imaging.
Okay, now for maybe the most surprising one. Africa. The growth rate there looks phenomenal, projected to nearly triple, from roughly $16 million to almost $46 million by 2033. That CAGR is huge. 9.57%. What is going on there?
Yeah, that number really jumps out. It just points to massive potential and rapid development kicking in. We're seeing real uptake in places like Nigeria, South Africa, and also just the broader rest of Africa. Where is it being used? Well, increasingly in universities, education for traffic management systems as cities grow, and just the general build-out of digital infrastructure.
Yeah.
These sectors really benefit from that stable, high-speed data FireWire offers.
Yeah.
And maybe, sometimes newer, more complex tech might be overkill or just too expensive for those initial deployments.
So when you pull all these regional threads together, what's the big picture? It really sounds like, despite all the new shiny objects in tech, FireWire-specific strengths that guaranteed bandwidth, low latency, peer-to-peer thing, keep it essential.
Exactly. That's the core message here. It shows that specialized tools built for critical jobs, they can really defy the usual tech obsolescence cycle. They remain indispensable. This whole global move towards more automation, smarter systems, more research, it just keeps fueling the need for reliable, high-speed imaging. And that's precisely the niche where FireWire cameras still nail it.
So there you have it. The FireWire camera market, definitely not a museum piece. It's actually a great example of how specialized tech can meet critical needs and keep thriving. Surprisingly resilient, surprisingly vital.
And it does make you think, doesn't it? It raises a bigger question, maybe for you listening. What does this kind of unexpected longevity for FireWire tell us about how specialized technologies evolve or don't evolve in the face of constant change? And, where else might we find these legacy solutions quietly plugging away, innovating, expanding, just outside the main spotlight?
Something definitely worth considering as you navigate the tech world. Keep digging, keep connecting the dots.
You ever stop and think about technology? How some things, even when they seem totally replaced, they just stick around?
Oh, absolutely.
They might fade from the headlines, but they're still out there doing really important work quietly. It's kind of fascinating.
It really is.
And today, we're diving deep into a perfect example of that, FireWire cameras.
Yeah, it's a genuine paradox, isn't it? FireWire, most people probably think, oh, that's legacy tech, but it's still incredibly functional.
Right.
And in certain situations, it's not just functional, it's pretty essential. It's less about being the newest thing now and more about just delivering on some really core needs.
Exactly, and that's what you want to unpack today. What's really interesting here, and what we hope you take away, isn't just that FireWire survived, but how its story shows this constant tension in tech.
That push and pull.
Yeah, between the shiny new innovation and the maybe less exciting but reliable workhorse that just works. So our mission, using insights from cognitive market research, is to look at the market, the dynamics, the future for these cameras. And for you listening, this deep dive should really highlight that fascinating interplay between progress and just plain old enduring utility.
So where do we start? What made them special in the first place?
Okay, yeah, good question. Back in their prime, what really made FireWire cameras stand out? Our sources consistently point to their high-speed data transfer.
Right, the IEEE 1394 standard.
Exactly. FireWire, that was the big initial advantage.
And the reason that speed mattered so much, well, it's down to FireWire's architecture. It's fundamentally different from, say, USB back then.
How so?
Well, USB often works in bursts, right? Packet-based. FireWire provides this dedicated constant data stream that gives you what's called deterministic data flow.
Okay, deterministic, meaning?
Meaning it's incredibly predictable. You get ultra-low latency, very little jitter, those tiny timing variations you really don't want.
Wow.
So for things like machine vision or medical diagnostics, even precise scientific research, anywhere, timing and image integrity are absolutely critical.
Over millisecond counts.
Precisely. That kind of performance wasn't just nice to have. It was often a must-have, non-negotiable.
And that precision, that deterministic flow you mentioned, where did that become really indispensable? I'm thinking like industrial settings, factory floors,
Exactly the place. Think about synchronized multi-camera systems.
like for quality controls.
Quality control, robotic vision, yeah. FireWire's deterministic nature meant engineers could count on images arriving exactly when expected, perfectly synchronized without weird delays.
Which is crucial if a robot needs instant feedback.
Absolutely. Imagine a robot arm picking something delicate based on what the camera sees right now. You can't afford lag or unpredictable timing. That kind of rock-solid reliability, it's something that even some newer, faster interfaces sometimes struggle to guarantee in the same way for certain demanding industrial jobs.
So that's the core technical edge.
Yeah.
But there was another big factor keeping it alive, right? Something less about the tech itself and more practical.
Yeah, the simple fact that in many places it was already there. Legacy integration.
Tell us more about that. It sounds important.
Oh, it's huge. You've got countless manufacturing plants, university research labs. They built their systems around FireWire years ago.
And ripping it all out is expensive.
Massively expensive. It's just pragmatic. Why overhaul everything, potentially millions of dollars worth of specialized equipment that works perfectly fine just for a different port? The cost effectiveness of just keeping the existing compatible FireWire systems running often wins out.
That makes total sense. I mean, can you imagine telling a lab director they need to replace a giant calibrated microscope setup just because the camera connection is old?
Exactly. You see this retention a lot in fields like high-resolution microscopy, definitely. Also, astronomical imaging, specialized semiconductor inspection.
These aren't minor applications.
Not at all. These are critical areas where stability, a proven track record, and frankly, the return on investment they've already made are just prioritized over chasing the absolute latest standard. It's fascinating how those foundational strengths just keep providing value because the systems are so deeply embedded.
Okay, so strong foundations, embedded systems, but even the strongest tech faces headwinds, right?
Always.
And this is where FireWire's story gets, well, complicated. Our analysis shows the biggest challenge was just the industry moving away from it. Support declined.
Spot on. FireWire was revolutionary for its time, no doubt. But then came USB 3.0, now USB 4, GEE,
Faster alternatives.
generally offering much higher bandwidth, yeah, and just getting built into everything. Motherboards, laptops, FireWire ports started disappearing. The industry essentially picked different winners for widespread adoption.
Which naturally creates real practical problems for people still using it.
Oh, definitely.
Like just finding the parts. We heard it's become tough to source FireWire cables, expansion cards, even host computers with the right ports.
It can be a real scavenger hunt, yeah. And beyond just finding the physical bits, there are, actual technological limitations compared to the newer stuff.
How so?
Well, FireWire, the standard itself, just wasn't designed for the massive data rates we see today. It's great at that deterministic delivery we talked about, but its overall bandwidth limits the raw resolution and frame rates you can push through it.
Compared to modern interfaces.
Exactly. Things like USB 4 or 10 GigE were built specifically to handle, 4K video, ultra-high frame rates. So FireWire isn't really suitable for the absolute cutting edge, like high-speed video or ultra HD broadcasting.
And that brings us to maybe the biggest headache for users.
Yeah.
Just getting the cameras to work with modern computers. Operating system issues.
Oh, yeah, that's a major pain point.
What kind of problems did people face?
Well, primarily, modern operating systems, Windows, macOS, Linux, often just drop native driver support. So your fancy FireWire camera plugs in and nothing.
Okay.
So users are stuck hunting for third-party drivers, maybe unsupported workarounds, or in some cases, they have to maintain old computers running outdated operating systems just to interface with their perfectly good FireWire equipment.
That sounds incredibly frustrating and costly in terms of time and effort.
It is. It's a huge barrier if you were thinking of starting a new project with FireWire and a constant maintenance issue for those legacy setups.
Okay, so declining support, scarcity of parts, tech limitations, driver nightmares. It sounds pretty bleak.
It does paint a challenging picture.
And yet, here's the twist, the reason we're doing this deep dive. Despite all that, FireWire is still relevant. It's surprisingly resilient. How?
It comes back to those niche areas, especially academic research, where its core strengths are still paramount. That stability, that minimal jitter.
It's still the best tool for certain jobs.
For some specific demanding jobs, yes. Think about labs running experiments that last weeks or months. They need absolute reliability, predictable data, they can't afford hiccups. FireWire, being a known stable quantity, is often preferred over newer tech that might still have quirks or driver issues, especially in complex, long-running setups.
And it's interesting, we're actually seeing demand grow in the aftermarket, aren't we? We are. People are actively looking for refurbished FireWire gear, spare parts, even repair services. It's like they're determined to keep these systems alive.
Yeah, it shows a real commitment to those existing investments. It's not just about buying new, it's about extending the life of what works reliably for them.
It's like a classic car market almost.
Kind of. And if you connect that to the bigger picture, it's not just clinging to the past. It's about strategic evolution.
How do you mean?
Well, we're seeing some interesting developments like hybrid solutions starting to emerge.
Hybrid.
Yeah, like dual interface cameras that have both a FireWire port and a modern one like USB 3 or GigE.
Ah, bridge.
Exactly. It gives users a path. They can keep using their existing FireWire infrastructure for now, but they also have a way to gradually transition or integrate with newer systems later without needing a complete disruptive overhaul all at once. It acknowledges the reality on the ground.
Okay, so let's try and wrap this up. Our journey through the world of FireWire cameras. It shows a technology that, yeah, by many standards, looks obsolete.
On paper, perhaps?
But it's holding on tight in these specific critical niches because of its unique strengths and honestly because upgrading is often just too expensive or disruptive.
And the story here, it really goes beyond just FireWire, doesn't it? It speaks volumes about technological progress in general.
How so?
It highlights the huge role legacy systems play, often invisibly, in keeping things running. And it forces us to question what obsolete really means in the real world versus just on a spec sheet. True value isn't always about being the newest or fastest.
That's such a key takeaway. So for you listening, what does this all mean? I think it's a great reminder that the best tech isn't universal.
Absolutely.
Fastest or newest doesn't automatically equal most vital or most practical for every single situation. Understanding this niche market really sheds light on how innovation and, well, sheer practicality are always negotiating with each other.
Which maybe leads to a final thought or a question to ponder.
Go for it.
In this world that's so obsessed with the new and improved, constantly chasing the next big thing, what other legacy technologies might be out there, quietly powering essential systems all around us, unnoticed? And what does their persistence tell us about the real, enduring value of things like reliability, proven performance, and maybe the hidden costs of always upgrading?
That's a great question to leave things on. Perhaps the real deep dive isn't always about what's coming next, but understanding what lasts and why. Keep exploring.